The first warning wasn't a signal. It was a scream, a gravitational wail that rippled through deep space sensors across 7 human sectors. Every ship, station, and relay felt it, a shudder like a cosmic creature taking a dying breath. On the bridge of the TDS Atlas, Commander Rhea Solstice snapped upright as the lights flickered. "Report." Her voice never rose, even as the deck vibrated under her boots. Lieutenant Armin's hands flew across his console. Not mechanical. Its external gravitational resonance spike. Origin: Ark's Dominion territory. A cold silence settled over the bridge. Ark's territory. The place where everything began. The Dominion had saved early humanity 9 centuries ago from the Gamma Veil collapse. Terrans had sworn an oath, one etched into human culture, bound in law and myth. When the stars dim, humanity will return the debt. But the Arks had vanished from the galactic stage hundreds of years ago. Their empire fractured, their systems silent. No one expected them to call in the debt. No one expected they could. Until the stars screamed. "Commander," Armin said softly, "there's more. A transmission. Encrypted. Very old." "How old?" "Pre-unification. Before Terran Standard," he said. "It's in the High Ark's right dialect. Dead for almost a millennium. A language older than their spaceflight. A language used only once in human history, during the ancient rescue." The bridge stiffened as the holographic script unfolded. Slowly, painfully, it translated. "Calling the debt of soul. The Dominion dims. Return what was saved. Help US or we fall." And then one final line, broken and glitching. "The star is collapsing." A murmur passed through the crew. Even seasoned officers felt it, the weight of history pressing down on their lungs. Rhea exhaled once, controlled and slow. "Location." Armin pulled it up. The holomap expanded, projecting a swirling red sphere. "System, Arkskahale. Distance, 14 hours at slipstream. Status, catastrophically unstable." Captain Idris, Rhea's XO, folded his arms. "A trap is possible. Or worse, Dominion politics. That civil war of theirs could be baiting outsiders." "Arks don't bait," Rhea said quietly. "They demand." She touched the oath ring hanging on a slim chain at her neck, an artifact passed down her family for 20 generations. Every solstice carried it. Every solstice knew what it meant. But none expected to be the one to answer it. The bridge dimmed as the star's data streamed in. Visual feeds from the nearest probe displayed a nightmare: solar flares that curled like claws, magnetic arcs splitting into spiraling vortices. The star wasn't just unstable. It was dying, tearing its own mass into a roiling singularity. And embedded in that chaos was something worse: mechanical lines, lattice-like anchors, and gravitational braces that didn't belong. As if someone was deliberately interfering with the stellar core. "What idiot is trying to scaffold a star?" Idris whispered. "A desperate one," Rhea said. "Or a warlord." Another alert chimed. "Commander," Armin said, "a second transmission. Different source. Same system. This one's live." The bridge holos flickered, and a towering alien figure materialized. Blue-black scales, crown-like cranial spines, ceremonial armor cracked with battle scars. The first living arcs most humans had seen in hundreds of years. The crew froze. The alien's 4 eyes locked onto Rhea. When it spoke, its voice carried the deep resonance of someone who expected obedience from entire worlds. "Terran Commander," it growled in accented basic. "I am Varkun, warlord of the Dominion Fracture. We call the debt. Your kind owes us survival. Your ancestors swore it. The time has come to repay." Idris leaned forward. "You're destabilizing your own star." Varkun's mandibles curled into a grim facsimile of a smile. "This system is beyond saving. But with your assistance we can weaponize its collapse, direct its hyperwave shock to crush our enemies." Rhea's blood chilled. "You want us," she said slowly, "to help you turn a dying star into a sector killer. A fair repayment, Varkun said. We saved your species. Now you will serve ours. The bridge erupted in whispers. Rhea silenced them with a glance. You said the star was collapsing by accident in the first message. The Dominion lies, Varkun snarled. They're weak. I am truth. I am survival. And what happens to the civilians still in that system? Rhea asked. What happens to dust when a sun dies? He shrugged. Irrelevant. Rhea took a single step closer to the hollow, eyes narrowing. Debt doesn't mean servitude. It means obedience, Varkun said. Refuse, and humanity violates an oath older than your entire directorate. The hollow flickered out. Silence. Rhea stared at the dying star rotating before her. Every instinct screamed to stay away, to leave the Dominion to its self-inflicted destruction. But the oath ring was warm against her skin. The dying star's scream echoed in her skull. Idris finally spoke. If we go, we risk walking into a war. If we don't, we abandon a civilization that did save us once. Even if they're hell-bent on killing each other now. And us, Armin added. Rhea nodded slowly. We're not going to help a warlord massacre entire sectors. But we're not ignoring a collapsing system either. She turned toward the helm. Plot a slipstream trajectory to Arxcahale. Prepare medical teams, diplomatic squads, and emergency stellar engineering unit. We go in quiet. We go in controlled. Idris raised an eyebrow. And what's our mission objective? Rhea's eyes hardened. We find out who truly called the debt and why. The Atlas trembled as its engines charged. The dying star pulsed again, sending out another gravitational cry, less like a scream this time, more like a plea. Rhea whispered to herself as the ship prepared to jump. Debt of soul. We're coming. Slipstream tore open into real space with a thunderous ripple, silent to the ear, but felt in bone. The TDS Atlas emerged in the Arxcahale system like a blade sliding into a wound. Nothing about the place felt like a star system anymore. The dying sun churned in violent spasms, solar mass collapsing inward one moment and exploding outward the next. The entire star flickered like an engine misfiring. Deep violet arcs of magnetism snapped across its surface, some stretching hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Arcs engineering structures, broken rings, semi-molten trusses, abandoned gravity pylons, floated around it like ribs around a diseased heart. The star wasn't collapsing by nature. It was being torn apart by design. Rhea Solstice watched the scene unfold on the main display, her jaw set. Scanning for civilian signatures, she ordered. Lieutenant Armin worked his console. Multiple. Thousands. Spread across drifting habitats and damaged stations. Some are losing life support. Captain Idris turned. They're trapped. Probably can't evacuate. Slipstream nodes must be unstable. Worse, Armin added. I'm detecting anti-wave distortion fields. Artificial. Someone's jamming escape exits. Rhea didn't need to guess who. Varkun hadn't just weaponized the star. He'd made a cage. Raise comms, she said. We're hailing the Dominion proper, not the fracture, not any warlords. The original government, if any piece of it is left. It took several minutes before a signal finally formed. The hologram that emerged was not the imposing figure of a warlord but a weary, thin Arx diplomat. His armor was cracked, ceremonial plating half melted. Terran vessel, he rasped. You should not have come. Rhea stepped forward. You called the debt. We answered. The diplomat lowered his gaze. The council did. Before everything fell apart. Idris frowned. Where is the council now? Dead, the diplomat whispered. Lord Varkun executed half and exiled the rest. He wants the Dominion's throne. He wants the death debt to justify it. Rhea's pulse hardened. A civil war so destructive it consumed star systems. A warlord willing to gamble with stellar collapse. And humanity's ancient promise twisted into a weapon. The diplomat continued, trembling. He forced us to transmit the debt call. You must leave. If Varkun sees you here, he will use your presence as proof humanity supports him. He already made contact, Rhea said flatly. He demanded we help him collapse this entire sector. The diplomat recoiled in horror. Then he truly means to unleash the hyperwave fall. Rhea crossed her arms. Explain. The star's collapse, if synchronized with the gravitational pylons, will create a hyperwave shock. It will shatter every slipstream gate in a 5-system radius. No escape. No communications. A dead zone. Idris swore under his breath. Why? What could he possibly gain from nuking an entire sector's infrastructure? Control, the diplomat whispered. Survivors will have no support. No allies. He becomes their only source of stability. Rhea understood instantly. A tyrant's playbook written in stellar physics. Then we need to stop him, she said. The diplomat gave a bitter laugh. You misunderstand, Terran. Varkun controls the pylons. He controls the armies. He controls the engineers who built the lattice around the star. You cannot fight him. A new transmission request flashed across the hollow. Varkun, priority override. Rhea nodded grimly. Put him through. The diplomat froze. He will kill me. Rhea stepped closer to the hollow. Not if we cut the connection first. As soon as he appears, sever link. The diplomat hesitated, then nodded. The moment Varkun's monstrous form appeared, Rhea discreetly signaled Armin. The diplomat's feed cut instantly, leaving only the warlord's towering image. Varkun's 4 eyes narrowed. You interfere. Rhea didn't flinch. You lied to us. I presented necessity, Varkun growled. Your species owes its existence to us. You repay now. You will assist the fracture fleet. Idris stepped forward. Your plan will kill millions. Millions die in every star's life. It is irrelevant. Rhea spoke calmly. We didn't come here to serve you. We came to honor the true dominion that saved us. And I am the dominion now. You are a tyrant, Rhea corrected. Not a leader. Varkun's mandibles snapped together in fury. You forget your place, Deathworlder. You are a product of our mercy. Without the dominion, humanity would have burned in the Gamma Veil. Rhea stepped forward, eyes like steel. And without humanity, your star will collapse on your head. The warlord's muscles tensed under his armor. You threaten me? I warn you, she said. There's a difference. The hologram flickered. Varkun was pacing now, claws scraping against something metal. You will stabilize the star, he said. That is your repayment. Rhea frowned. Stabilize it? You told us it was beyond saving. Not for long, Varkun growled. Once you reinforce the core, I will trigger the hyperwave blast manually. Idris gaped. So you want us to save the star so you can blow it up yourself? Correct. Rhea's expression turned to ice. We will not assist genocide. Varkun leaned close to the hollow, for eyes blazing. Then humanity violates the debt. And the galaxy will know. The connection severed. The bridge fell silent. For a long moment Rhea said nothing. Her mind churned through possibilities. Tactical, political, moral. Finally she spoke. Options. Armin projected the system map. 3 primary objectives. Stop Varkun before he triggers the hyperwave. Rescue civilians trapped in the habitat. Stabilize the star just enough to prevent premature collapse. Idris raised an eyebrow. That's 3 different missions. Rhea nodded. So we do all 3. The crew stared. But they didn't argue. Rhea Solstice didn't order suicide missions lightly. But when she did, they worked. Prepare the Atlas for 3 deployments, she continued. Engineering teams with stellar braces. Strike teams for the pylon control hubs. Diplomatic and evac teams for the habitats. Idris studied her. What's the overarching goal? Rhea looked at the dying star, alive, flickering, crying for help. Simple, she said. The Atlas launched 3 wings of shuttles into the chaos of Arxcahale, each vectoring toward a different objective. Rescue teams swept toward collapsing habitat. Engineering crews dove toward the star's outer lattice, bracing themselves for the impossible. Strike units banked toward the pylon control hubs, weapons cold but ready. Commander Rhea Solstice took none of those shuttles. She took the smallest one, the Valkyrie, her personal zero-G diplomatic craft, sleek, maneuverable, and built for situations where combat and negotiation blurred into the same breath. A single Terran insignia glowed faintly on its hull. Idris strapped in beside her. "You sure about this? The Arcs are not exactly open to peaceful discussion while their star collapses." "That's why we're not discussing," Rhea said, sealing her gauntlets. "We're demonstrating." "Demonstrating what?" Rhea's lips shifted into a near smile. "Deathworlder adaptability." The cockpit window expanded as the Valkyrie departed the Atlas, descending into the gravitational maelstrom. The dying star pulsed like a furious heartbeat, and its unstable waves made the shuttle lurch. A lesser ship would have torn apart. But the Valkyrie was built for this. So was Rhea. As they approached the nearest Ark's diplomatic citadel, a fortress of obsidian metal anchored to fractured asteroids, Ark's interceptors swept toward them in formation, weapons hot. A comm channel opened instantly. "Terran vessel," a harsh voice barked, "you are entering restricted Dominion airspace. Turn back or be fired upon." Rhea flicked a switch. "Transmit our diplomatic insignia." Armin's voice crackled through from the Atlas. "Sent." "They're scanning and confused. They weren't expecting humans." Idris muttered. "Whoever expects humans to run toward a collapsing star?" Rhea unstrapped, drifting upward as the shuttle entered zero-G. Every movement slow, deliberate. She adjusted her magnetic boots so they hovered just a few centimeters above the floor. The diplomatic citadel loomed ahead, its docking bay flickering with emergency lighting, fields destabilizing under stellar turbulence. "Clearance granted," Armin said. "But be aware, conditions inside are chaotic." "Wouldn't be diplomacy without chaos," Rhea replied. The Valkyrie entered the docking bay, magnetic clamps locking onto the scorched deck. The airlock opened with a hiss. And then the gravity failed. Cables snapped. Crates lifted. Ark's guards scrambled as their bodies floated up in jagged, uncontrolled arcs. Idris swore as he drifted sideways. "Gravity plating offline." Rhea didn't hesitate. She turned off her magboots. They retracted silently. Then she kicked off the shuttle's bulkhead, body twisting like a dancer through the drifting debris. She rotated midair, stabilizing herself with micro-adjustments of her limbs, moving with such practiced ease that the chaos almost seemed planned. The guards froze, four-armed reptilian figures flailing helplessly in the air while this tiny human moved like water. One of them hissed, How do you maneuver like that?" Rhea gently caught a floating Ark's officer by the forearm, redirecting his momentum until he drifted safely against a wall. "Zero-G training," she said matter-of-factly. "Humans practice it daily." "That is," the officer sputtered, "unnatural." Rhea shrugged mid-spin. "Welcome to Deathworld physiology." Idris, still spinning end over end, groaned. "Some of us weren't born with internal gyroscopes." Rhea snagged him by the collar, halted his rotation with one precise push, and gave him an encouraging shove toward a handrail. She turned to the Ark's guards. "Take me to your surviving diplomat. I'm here as neutral aid." They hesitated, caught between protocol, fear, and shock. Finally, the officer she'd rescued nodded. "This way." Quickly. They drifted through corridors flickering between gravity surges, sometimes weightless, sometimes crushing. Rhea adjusted instantly each time, landing with cat-like precision or floating effortlessly. The Arcs watched her with an expression that blended awe and discomfort. "We were told," one muttered, "that humans are fragile." Rhea shot him a wry look. "You were told wrong." They entered the central chamber, a half-ruined hall where diplomats floated among cracked pillars and drifting data slates. Arguments filled the air, overlapping in frantic waves. The warlord has taken 3 pylons. He'll trigger the collapse any moment. Human presence will only fuel his narrative. Why are they here? Rhea drifted forward into the center of the chaos. The room hushed. An elder Ark's counselor, scales faded and eyes dim with exhaustion, stared at her. You are the Terran commander. Yes. You came to repay the debt of soul. Yes. The counselor closed his eyes. A debt repaid should not end with the death of billions. Rhea nodded. Which is why I need your help. The diplomats exchanged glances. An official asked, What is it you want, human? Rhea pointed to the failing holographic map of the star lattice. I need access to pylon control codes, specifically the ones Varkun doesn't control. Shocked murmur. Whispers. Fear. That is treason, one diplomat whispered. That is survival, Rhea corrected. The elder counselor studied her carefully. You would stand against Varkun for us? For stability, Rhea said. For your civilians. For the ancient oath, distorted by a man who wants to weaponize it. Warlord Varkun claims humanity owes obedience, another argued. Rhea's expression hardened. Humanity owes one thing, the truth of the vow, help when asked. Not servitude. Not blind allegiance. Her voice lowered. And I will not let your star become a bomb. A slow, deliberate silence fell. Then the elder counselor reached out, floating closer, placing an old clawed hand on her shoulder. You speak like a Deathworlder, he said quietly. It is reassuring. He signaled an aide. Give her the codes. Gasps erupted. Counselor, that is... She is not Dominion. She is not Arx. She is the only one who came, the elder said fiercely. The only one who did not flee. A data core, glowing softly, was handed to Rhea. These will open the auxiliary pylon channels. Enough to counteract Varkun's initiators, but you will have to reach them physically. Understood. And Commander Solstice, the elder added, voice turning solemn, know this. Once you use these codes, you declare yourself an enemy of Varkun. Rhea clipped the data core to her suit. I was already planning on it. Alarms suddenly wailed, deep, pulsing, shaking the chamber. Armin's voice echoed through her earpiece. Commander, Varkun's forces are moving. He's pushing the pylons into alignment. Time to hyperwave detonation, 20 minutes. Idris swore. Diplomats panicked. Rhea didn't blink. Everyone, she commanded, voice cutting through chaos, brace for evacuation. The Atlas will extract as many as possible. She kicked off a pillar and glided toward the exit, suit thrusters igniting. Idris followed. Where to now? Rhea's eyes locked onto the star outside, raging, boiling, dying. To the lattice, she said. To the pylons. She flexed her hands, preparing for vacuum walk and zero-G combat. The moment Rhea and Idris launched from the diplomatic citadel, the Valkyrie punched into the chaos of Arkskahel's inner system, straight toward the star's collapsing lattice. The dying sun filled half the viewport, a monstrous swirl of violet fire and gravitational distortion. Arcs of plasma lashed out like molten serpents, striking broken pylons and half-melted scaffolds. Every flare threatened to swallow them whole. Idris braced as the shuttle rocked violently. Remind me, why are we flying toward the unstable stellar surface? Rhea adjusted the controls with calm precision. Because Varkun wants to weaponize it. We're here to stop him. That wasn't reassurance. It wasn't meant to be. A sudden gravitational shear tore across their path. Rhea inverted the Valkyrie, letting the shear roll under them like a wave. Idris yelped as the craft spun perfectly along its axis. You enjoy this, don't you? Rhea didn't answer. She was already scanning the pylon network. Dozens of gravitational pylons, massive pillars of obsidian alloy, circled the star in a precise geometric pattern. Or they had. Now many were bent, broken, bleeding energy into the void. But 4 of them, Varkun's, glowed bright with a coordinated, violent rhythm. He's aligning them, Rhea muttered. If they synchronize, the star collapses inward. Hyperwave detonation follows. Idris swallowed. Time. Armin said 20 minutes. Probably less. A new comm channel crackled. Commander, this is Engineering Wing 1 brace array deployed on Sector 9. We're slowing early collapse waves. Medical teams evacuating civilians now. 5 habitats cleared, 3 remaining. Strike team reports heavy resistance at Pylon Control Hub Gamma. Varkun's troops are dug in. Rhea exhaled sharply. Everything was happening at once. Everything was collapsing at once. Armin, she said, opening shipwide comms. Prep the Atlas's gravitational counterflux. When I give the signal, I want every generator fired. Commander, firing that close to a dying star. I know, she said. We do it anyway. Silence. Then. Acknowledged. The Valkyrie neared the central pylon cluster. The structures were enormous, spires kilometers high, glowing with green-blue arcs that flickered like heartbeat monitors. Armed Arx ships patrolled the perimeter, bristling with weapons. Varkun's war fleet. As soon as they were spotted, dozens of targeting beams snapped onto the Valkyrie. Idris paled. That's a lot of guns. Rhea didn't flinch. Not enough. She kicked power into the thrusters, diving straight toward the nearest pylon's anchoring platform. Missiles streaked toward them, spiraling trails of plasma. Rhea flipped the Valkyrie into a microspin. Missiles slid past. Idris screamed. The shuttle skimmed along the surface of the pylon, so close sparks flew across the hull. Docking clamps engaged, Rhea said. Idris stared at her, wide-eyed. How did you? But she was already out of her seat, helmet snapping into place. Let's move. The airlock cycled. A blast of heat and solar radiation slammed into them as they stepped onto the surface, an exposed maintenance walkway fixed directly to the pylon. Behind them, the star raged below, waves of violet plasma churning like a living ocean. Idris clung to the railing. I hate this. Rhea activated her boots' grav anchors. Then move fast. They sprinted along the walkway, ducking behind support struts as drone turrets activated with sharp metallic screeches. Rhea slashed the first with a pulse blade. Idris disabled the second with an electromagnetic tap. Ahead, the pylon's control chamber glowed with violent energy, arcs of gravitational force twisting like lightning inside a transparent spherical core. Warlord Varkun's voice boomed through the structure. Terran intruders detected. Do you think you can stop me? Rhea didn't slow. She raised the data core from the Dominion diplomat. Opening auxiliary channels now, she said. Idris hesitated. And if these override codes fail? Then we improvise. They always fail when someone says that. Rhea jammed the core into the pylon interface. Force override. Access denied. Foreign commands detected. Match found. Access granted. The sphere's energy pulse shifted. Rhythm disrupted. Varkun roared. Treasonous insects. You dare. Rhea ignored him, fingers flying across the interface. We're disrupting the sync cycle. If we break one pylon, the hyperwave can't initiate. Idris monitored readings. Star collapse is accelerating. We have, Commander, 6 minutes before core implosion. Then we go faster. Solar flares erupted around them, lighting the walkway in ultraviolet white. Idris shielded his visor. The star's losing integrity. Its corona is destabilizing. Armin, Rhea snapped, tell Engineering Wing 1 to deploy every brace they have. Already on it. But they say it won't hold unless we counterflux it, Rhea finished. Idris stared at her. You can't be serious. I'm very serious. You want to fire the Atlas's gravitational counterflux into a star already collapsing? Yes. That could tear us apart. Only if the timing is off. Oh good, Idris muttered. Only that. Rhea synced the pylon code. The energy sphere around them flickered, dimmed, then shattered into a less organized pattern. The first pylon destabilized. 3 more, Idris said. Except we don't have time for 3. Rhea looked over the railing, down into the star, into a swirling well of violet flame and collapsing mass. We don't need 3. She pointed at the pylon's base, a massive gravitational reservoir tethering it to the stellar corona. If we detonate the reservoir, it'll disrupt the entire array. Idris blinked. You want to blow up the pylon we're standing on? Yes. He sighed. Of course you do. Rhea activated her suit mic. All units, this is Commander Solstice. Brace for shockwave. We're cutting Varkun off at the knees. Armin's voice responded instantly. Commander, Varkun is rerouting power to the remaining pylons. He's panicking. Whatever you're doing, do it now. Rhea punched in manual overload command. The pylon's base began to glow, heat building dangerously. Idris staggered. It's going critical. Then we leave. Rhea grabbed Idris by his harness and leapt, launching both of them off the maintenance walkway just as the pylon detonated. A shock wave tore through the lattice. Broken pylons shattered. Gravitational harmonics collapsed in a cascading failure. Varkun roared across every channel, furious, unhinged. You dare defy the Dominion? Rhea spat back. We defy you. The Dominion asked for help. You asked for power. The Atlas fired its counterflux. A massive gravitational wave surged outward, stabilizing the star's core just long enough to prevent immediate implosion. The remaining pylons flickered, then went dark. Idris floated in space, panting. Are we alive? Rhea scanned the star. It burned, a raging, chaotic thing, but it was no longer aligning to collapse the sector. For now, she said. And though the star still screamed, its voice was fading. The Eclipse Armada hung over the shattered remains of the Karth Dominion like a silent verdict. Debris fields glimmered with the last embers of extinguished suns, victims not of warheads, but of their own arrogance. Humanity hadn't fired a single doomsday weapon. They didn't need to. The debt had been returned in the only currency Karth understood: consequences. But the war wasn't finished. Not yet. The Vowkeeper's chamber, Karth capital moon, orbiting the hollow star. Grand Strategist Vokrluan stood trembling before the holographic feeds, mandibles shaking as he processed the impossible sight. His empire's outer star clusters collapsing in on themselves. Not supernovas. Not attacks. Self-terminations. Starforges sabotaged by Karth engineers decades ago, meant to be triggered only in a last resort purge, had been remotely overridden. By humans. How? When? They were primitives when we installed those locks. A comms officer stumbled in, eyes wide. Grand Strategist, the human envoy wishes to speak. Vokrluan snarled, put him through. The feed stabilized. There he was. Commander Alex Wren, standing aboard the flagship EHS Resolute, jaw set like carved iron. That calm, terrifying humanity. Grand Strategist, he greeted. We're almost done. You activated our stellar failsafes. Vokrluan shrieked. You would collapse our worlds? Our systems? You swore restraint. Alex's eyes were glacier still. We swore proportionality. He stepped aside, showing the hollow behind him. The Ashmar refugee worlds, those annihilated by Karth decades earlier under the guise of debt correction. Whole species wiped out. The galaxy had forgotten. Humanity hadn't. You erased their systems, Alex said quietly. We returned the debt. In equal measure. Vokrluan's legs gave out. Humans weren't like the stories. They weren't vengeful monsters. They were accountants. And the ledger was closed. The turning point breach of the last gate. Alarms screamed across the Karth capital moon as the last gate, a quantum firewall surrounding the Dominion core, shattered under human intrusion. Not missiles. Not ships. A human mathematician. Dr. Lien Zhou walked through the digital breach as if she owned it. Her avatar, a calm woman in lab attire, posed no threat except for the equations glowing at her fingertip. You built your entire command structure on recursive prime phase encryption, she said almost apologetically. That's adorable. The Karth AI Guardian lunged. She erased it with a single line of code. Humans, it whispered as it died, should not be able to do this. Yeah, she smiled sadly. We hear that a lot. Planetfall. The final stand of the Dominion. On the moon's obsidian plains, Karth shock troopers dug in. The Resolute's dropships screamed through the atmosphere. But instead of soldiers, human envoys emerged. Diplomats, engineers, doctors. This was not conquest. This was closure. Alex Wren stepped forward, unarmed. You have a choice, he called out, voice magnified across the battlefield. Surrender your war leaders, open your archives, and cease all predatory economic warfare. He paused. Or face the rest of the consequences you built for yourselves. The Karth commander trembled. This is annihilation. Alex shook his head. This is mercy. Don't make us finish your work for you. Karth rifles lowered. One by one. Aftermath. What the galaxy saw. The Dominion surrendered without another shot. The Karth star systems that collapsed remained untouched, unrepaired. Their destruction was a historical warning carved across the night sky. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy fell silent. Not out of fear. Out of understanding. Humans didn't destroy nations. Humans didn't conquer species. Humans ended debt. And once the debt was paid, humanity simply walked away. Final scene, the quiet return. Earth. The lights of New Geneva shimmered across the lake as Alex Wren stood alone on a balcony, stars reflecting across his uniform. Lien approached quietly. You okay? She asked. He exhaled. They think we were ruthless, he said. But really we were fair. Lien nodded. Fairness can be terrifying. Alex glanced at the sky, at the absence where Karth stars once glowed. Let's hope the galaxy learns something from today. Lien smiled sadly. Oh, they will, she whispered. Because they just learned the one truth nobody ever understood about humans. Alex raised an eyebrow. And what's that? She looked up at the vast dark of space. That when we say we'll return a debt. Her eyes glinted. We always pay in full.